From the gear shed again. As promised, I'm just going to do a little review of the Bearbones Backpacking RF methylated spirit stove. This little guy here is basically like a white box. If you're aware of the white box stoves, kind of like a copy of one of those, but it has a little nozzle on the side here with the valve in it. It allows you to run a remote fuel canister. So this is just a little plastic, high density plastic bottle with a little adapter here and a little squeeze clip like you have on medical equipment, and that just blocks it off. And how this works, it just has a little one-way valve, and when you basically squeeze the bottle, fuel into your little canister in here, and when you let go, the back pressure from the bottle seals a little, it basically sounds like a little ball bearing there, seals up against the valve, and that stops the fuel getting sucked back into the bottle. So the vacuum from the bottle seals this off. Now, we've just come back from a little bit of a bike trip. I took this because I basically need some practice with it. I've tried using it at home and with mixed results. Not a massive meths fan. This is kind of, I've got a couple of different meths stoves which I've sort of tried. I'm trying to get along with them because they are nice and light, but I'm used to gas and petrol and that sort of thing. So this is all kind of new. So what we'll do is we'll light it up and give you an idea what it looks like and how it works, and have a look at how long it takes to boil. I've got my little mug here. It's got about 400 mils of cold water in it. Little titanium mug. So we'll get this going and see what it's like. So just bear with me here. I'm going to be doing this all one-handed. So you basically here, I don't know whether you can see that, there's actually fuel in the bottom of the reservoir, and there's a little, it's basically a piece of cotton wool on the bottom that acts like a wick. So we'll light that. There we go. Is it going? Yep, it's going. So we need to let that preheat. And the big key with this thing, it seems, is making sure you get the right amount of fuel in there to start with. That's probably a bit too much, I think I've gotten there. So the pros and cons with this is you can actually, while the stove is going, you can use this to refuel it. So one of the problems with the transiers is you'd be halfway through cooking and you'd run out of meths. So with this one, you never, as long as you've got fuel in here, you're not going to run out of fuel in there. But with the problem with that is what I find is that you actually use a lot more fuel because obviously it's to hand, and you can squeeze this bottle as much as you like, and so you actually tend to go through a lot more meths than what you would if you had just a standalone stove. I'm just going to pop this little titanium windshield around it here to speed up the preheating. You can see that should be able to just, very hard to see it in daylight, but it is going. The heat coming off it, so it'll start to bloom. So it takes quite, you can see by watching the counter on the video, it does take a long time to bloom. So I wouldn't say it's the fastest stove in the world. It does take a while. I'm sure people can chime in and tell me what I'm doing wrong. There we go. It's going to start to go in a second. It's getting there. So just giving you an idea, we're inside the old Coleman shelter that you would have seen in some of my previous videos, and it's about 9 degrees, I think we just checked before, is the temperature. Not much wind in here, but putting this windshield around it just helps with the speed up the preheating process. Should be blooming, you might be able to see a bit of yellow flame going on there. And once it gets hot enough, it will start popping around out the holes around the side of the stove. See, it takes a wee while to preheat. And we're obviously comparing this to one of the, like a little Primus that screws on top of a gas canister. It's already, we probably have already had our cup of tea by now. There we go, it's starting to bloom around the sides. There we go. Right, so we let that sit for a little bit. And then we're going to pop out. I'm going to try and do this one-handed and not burn myself. That goes onto top. Right, we still got it going. It's quite hit or miss, this thing. Get some flames at the side. Yeah, it's definitely going. There we go. Yeah, it's definitely going. So probably the problem I find, a couple of problems with this, apart from it being relatively slow to preheat, is that because it's so small and it acts like a pot stand, it will be a lot harder to balance your pot on top of. So you need to make sure you've got some level ground. Hence I'm doing it on this little table. And your pot size is very important. If you trying to balance a large pot on top of this, you're going to get into trouble. It's still going. Yeah, we've got heat coming out the side. It's good. Might be able to see. Probably best to do. Probably better to do this in darkness. Let's see a bit better. So it's just a waiting game now. How I did before, it was about I think 7 minutes to boil this little cup of water. So I might pause the video and bring you back when we've got a boil going on. Okay, it is a bit time consuming. Hey guys, brought you back. It's finally on a boil. It's taken at least 6 or 7 minutes. So from basically when I started, it's nearly 12 minutes doing it. What we'll do is we'll take this titanium heat shield off and try and take it off without burning my fingers or catching everything on light. Oh shit. Hang on, over this way. I haven't got a pop left or anything like that, which is a bit of a faux pas, so I'll take that out of the way. Hey. There we go. So the advantage with this, so that's on a full boil, so that was 12 minutes of flame. You can see that kicking, it's a bit bright for it. If you wanted more fuel, you undo the little clip on the side and just squeeze, and then you get more fuel into it, and then clip that shut. There we go. So that gives you an idea about that. So these, I'll put the link in the description about where I got this from, if anyone's interested. So my thoughts, someone coming from a petrol cooker background, gasoline cooker background, I'll do some reviews on some of the ones that I've got. I've got some old beasts. Someone that's used that a lot and also used gas, a little screw on top of gas canister kind of micro stoves. Not overly sold on this one. We're just having a quick discussion about it, comparing this to like a Trangia. Obviously a Trangia is a shed load more efficient. Probably the only thing going for this is weight. It is really light, and it packs down small. I mean, you can put that in that little pot, I can get everything into there apart from the fuel bottle. So not sold. I might have to use it a few more times to get good at it. It's definitely a school to lighting it. But yeah, not really designed for big pots. It's a one-man band. 300-400 mils of water is probably all you want to be boiling with it. And then that thing about, because this is so small, and it acts like a pot stand, you have to be really careful, get it level, and also find a pot that's going to fit on it properly. So yeah, there's my thoughts on it. Any questions, pop them in the questions box. Remember to subscribe. I've got a few more videos coming up. Cheers and see you later.